Okay, we're going to do a video on how to do a freehand carpet repair. Here's your spot. Looks like super glue on the carpet. A couple of tools you're going to need. This is a row splitter. Nice pointed end. It's good for cut pile. The flat end there is good for loop pile. That'll help split your rows so you can make a nice clean cut. Cushion back cutter. This is a double razor. It's got two razors inside the cutter there. We'll talk about that a little more later. Freehand razor. Fresh razors is always important. I always put new razors inside the tools before I begin. Got the Cool Glide here, seam sealer, and your Cool Glide tape or your seam tape. Those are the items that you're going to need to do the cut. And I want to show you a little bit about how you use this tool, your row splitter. You just want to work it inside the fiber, and you'll find in between the rows, and it'll run right through it really easy. And then you can kind of see here that nice little row there, and you'll use your cushion back cutter to follow along there. So that's the most important start there. You're going to do that all around the repair, cut it out, and then we'll show you how we cut our donor piece for the insert. So let's set this over here so you can watch the rest of the repair. So you get this split open. You want to do it on both sides. I try to do it as close to the repair as I can, or to the damaged area as I can. That way it limits the size of that insert, so it makes it much easier to blend in. Sometimes you have to work that row splitter in the carpet to get that nice row split open there. So we got them cut there. Alright, so what I do here, there's two razors in here. Something's very important that helps blend in your insert. You take the inside razor, or the razor that's on the outside, excuse me. This razor, you want this side of the razor to be on the side of the carpet that's going to stay in, not the side that you're taking out. What it does, it cuts the carpet right alongside of that staple fiber, so when you put your insert in, it blends in really tight, so you don't have that gap, so the seam doesn't show up very well. So we're going to do that here. So right here, this is the edge, this is staying in, this is your damaged area. We want our razor to be on the left side or the outside of the cut here. So you just put your cushion back cutter there right in your line it up where you want to start it, push down, and just run it across that seam that you, or the row that you split. Doing on that side. Now again, we're going to do the other side, so I'm going to change my razor location to the outside. So the razor I just used was on the inside. Now I'm bringing the razor on the outside, and the inside's going in, if that makes sense. So then get it in the row, come just before you get into the damaged area, and bring it right across, just past the damaged area, so you get that damaged area cut out and you don't leave any left in the carpet. Now I'm going to come on this side and same thing, find the row and just run it right through. A lot of times it is a little difficult to stay in that seam. You want to keep a good, strong, steady hand against the backing of the carpet to keep those fibers splitting apart. And then come again on the other side, close as you can to that damaged area to limit the size of the repair. That one strayed off a little bit, so I'm going to try to find another line here so I can get it as straight as possible. We're going to use a trace cut once we get this damaged piece out, so that we have an identical piece to insert in. That's our donor. Okay, again, use the same thing here. Outside razor goes on the outside cut, and just run it across. Usually after I cut these razors will be dull, so I'll turn them around and switch them so we have a nice sharp edge to make a good clean cut for these for the new insert. Run it again right across, and there you go. Now we still have a little bit of attachment here. That's where your freehand razor comes into play, and just pop it out. Most important here is to identify how your carpet is coming out. So you want to mark it, so when you do your donor piece, you know exactly which way the nap lays and the carpet's constructed. So what I do is I identify right here, I turn it over, I just draw an arrow, and then there's a window right behind that camera, so I identify it with window, just like that. So you have it on there, so you know exactly which way you want to cut. Then you want to find out which way your nap is laying, so you put the donor piece back in the correct way. So there's a couple other ways you can do it, but I'm going to show you one that works really well. Okay? So if I just kind of rub the nap and lay it down, you'll see it stands up one way and falls down the other. That's one direction of the nap. That's which way your nap is laying, so it's going that way, so you want to make sure you do that. Then the other way is by looking at your carpet, and you can see the construction of the backing right in there. So you want to make sure that that goes in the correct way, okay? Alright, so again, I look here at the carpet. I have a nice piece here that's just about perfect as far as how it's constructed there. So we got that. Now we want to make sure we identify which way the carpet is laying. On this donor piece, it's laying that way. So that's perfect for us. That works really well. So we're going to turn it over. A lot of times it's hard to find an exact match, so you get as close as you can. And this is some extra that we have that's a lot like this. It just has some sun change on it. So anyways, all right, now this is a trace cut. On a trace cut, I do the same thing. On the outside cut, I make sure that I have the razor on the outside. What that's going to do is make your cut larger, make your insert a little bit larger, so when you do put it in, it's a real tight fit and those fibers blend together. So we're just going to line up our edge there and just cut it straight across. One there. Change our razor. Bring on the outside razor. Hold your carpet in place. Right there. And then we're going to trim this outside here. And you have your donor. So again, you want to identify which way you put it in. So I mark this one the same way with window, so it's laying in the right direction. Now the damaged piece is done. Now we have our new insert. We're ready to go. One more tool that I don't have listed, had out when I showed you, is your seam roller. That helps get your seam contacted in when you heat it up. Okay, I do a little trimming on some of these construction fibers that are hanging around. Okay, I always put it in first. And check my fit. Right in there. Get all those seams down, and I just look at it, and just kind of gives me a way to make sure that repair is going to go good. Okay? So that's that right there. Alright, now, most important, you want to make sure you do seal your seams with your seam sealer. That's going to make sure that the construction of the carpet, the integrity of that construction stays the same. And you seal those two, primary and secondary, together as to not cause any delamination because of the dry particulate that can get down in there from just regular walking over it and vacuuming. Okay. And then you want to run that in like that. Do it on your donor piece as well. Okay, run your thumb on there. You don't have to, but I like to make sure it gets in. Alright, that's done. Put your seam tape in. And set your donor in correctly with the way you labeled it. Again, I always pull up the carpet that's around the donor. It makes for a much easier blend. Make sure those fibers are laying up against each other on the donor and on the carpet surrounding it. Okay? Cool Glide. If you don't have one of these, they're really useful. They do a great job. Line it up over the seam. Press start. Have a couple of different settings here. There's a T for transfer. That's right against the walls of a doorway or seam there, because it just heats up right about in this location. Then you have low, medium, high pile. Once that light turns off, you just move it up. Then you press start again. I have it on medium pile because the pile depth it's not very high, but it's a little bit, it's got some depth to it. It's not real close like maybe some commercial grade carpet or something that happens to be installed on a tack strip. Okay, and that's what that looks like. Once I've done that, then I just take it and roll over those seams there. Okay, and then I'll come on this side and I just basically will overlap just to get this center here heated up. Move it over. Heat the other side. While I'm doing that, I'll make sure that this side over here Using our seam roller to get good contact. Again here. When you don't have carpet that's available that's similar to the style, a lot of times it's really hard to get a good color match, which that's what the case is here. You can go into a closet and remove some there. That way you know you'll get the same color from the same lot. The only thing that you're going to have difference here that's going to vary is this is a high traffic area. It happens to be in a dining room, so it has some graying right here. It's got some tip blooming also as well. So, I mean, you're only going to be able to blend so much. Even if you were to go into a closet and get some, you'd still be able to see it a little bit. Once this carpet's cleaned, it'll blend in a little bit better. But for the most part, that damaged area is gone. And that's the most important part to your client. Roll that seam, and then noticed again that I will pull up on that carpet to get it to blend in really good. Usually on the corners is where I like to do that, because it just kind of helps those corners blend in a little bit better. And also will set a heavy object over these seams. It helps it get some good dry contact as it completely dries. Usually about a minute or two to let it sit there. These Cool Glide tapes and seam repairs, bonded inserts, they dry pretty fast. And once that adhesive on those tapes heat up, they start to dry pretty fast. So you just want to let it cool down a little bit, so you have good contact with the bonded insert and the surrounding carpet. It does take a little bit of practice. A couple of those things I kind of figured out as I went along learning, but it just takes some time and a little bit of practice to get it figured out. I think the most important tip there was having your cut razor, the cut side, on the side closest to the carpet that's going to be left on the floor. That's why I like to have those cushion back cutters that have two razors, where I can choose the inside or the outside razor, whichever one I want. So that's usually how I do it. If you get one with one razor, it mostly cuts right down the middle of that row, and so you have just a little bit of gap when you put those repairs together. So if you get closer to the fiber on the floor, you get a really nice seam, and it's easier to hide once you're done. This carpet pile, it's not quite dense, so it does show up a little bit. The more dense the carpet, the easier it is to blend in a bonded insert. So there you go. There's your bonded insert. And then what I do is I will come here and follow behind it with that little quick razor and do some trimming here and get all of that out. So, and again, once we come in here and clean this carpet and get some heat on these fibers, they'll stand up a little bit and you'll have a little more bounce, and it'll blend in a little better. So there's the repair right there. You can still see it pretty good because it is new carpet, but those seams, once we clean this carpet, it'll blend in really nice, and you have a good bonded insert repair. So hope you enjoyed that video. Hope it helped. See you.